tadilam, vacarme, s'en va dans l'oubli éternam, et Gustave dom guardiam, dilim dididididam, lutes seradodidam, seram.
Hi, my name is Benny, and I make games. I've always wanted to make videos about games, but I've always psyched myself out due to expectations about making it super professional and delivering something that's out of this world. I've been wanting to make an essay about games I love for a very, very depressingly long time, but that always trips me up. So I thought I'd just write the script on the fly, not really caring about quality. For those who enjoy listening to me, I hope you like. This is me, Benny, who makes games, talking about my favorite games of 2025. I think I'm going to do a top 10, but first I need some disclaimers. There's games I didn't get around to, but I love the look of, and I'm primarily a PC gamer, so here's a list of games that I really wanted to get around to, but couldn't. I played 25 games in total this year that were made in 2025, but this doesn't also betray the fact that I played Megabonk for what Steam says is 147.7 hours, even though some of that is idling, although maybe not as much idling as one might think. I wanted to play games like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, Death Stranding 2. I wish I was good enough at Souls-likes to play something like Lies of P Overture, which I've heard is incredible. I don't own a Switch, so I can't play Donkey Kong Bonanza, and I haven't played Hades 2 because I couldn't even get properly into Hades 1. Maybe I wasn't good at it, I don't know, I'll try it again sometime soon. And here's a list of other games I couldn't get around to, but I was interested in. It's true that creating an end-of-year games list can be quite difficult because games take longer to finish than most movies. Also, let me be additionally clear, lists create anger, because when you see something on a list that doesn't correspond to your version of reality, you may start to feel a sense of indignant rage, feeling like I did not represent your feelings or engage with the experience in a way you feel is correct. This is all fine. I appreciate that you care, but please also maybe balance this out with a healthy perspective that having different experiences about art is good, actually, and I love you that you can love a game as much more than me, and that I can love a particular different game much more than you, and that's what makes us human. If you want to know all the games I played, I'll put them all at the end so you know what I snubbed, and write your vitriol in the comments so I can respond as aptly as I feel fit that particular day. Let's start with some recommendations that lie outside my top 10. I played around 20 hours of Silksong, but this was straight after I played Hollow Knight this year as well, which might also be my favorite game I played in 2025 that wasn't released in 2025. I fell off Silksong in the year 2025, okay? So I apologize to all Silksong fans. I simply just haven't played enough of Silksong to know exactly how I feel about it. I like what beautiful, exciting combat and exploration I've been seeing in Silksong so far. The ducking, the weaving, the diagonal jumping, and all the things you love about Hollow Knight are in there. I still might not be used to diagonal jumping, but the awesome bosses are still there, and the sense of discovery is still there, and the heightened sense of danger is there. So this is still Hollow Knight at its peak. I'm excited to get back into it. I didn't play enough of Keep Driving to know whether it would affect me greatly, but I played enough to know that's a fantastic looking simulationist game about driving and coming across obstacles on your way that you dynamically need to sort out. And lots of little snacks and little fuel things that you have to buy. The feel is great, the emotions are on point, and the soundtrack just hits you with its raw instruments and disaffected vocals of its indie rock stylings as you drive through the dusty streets to find your next fix, fuel, or snack. Replicube was an incredible programming game that I lost some hours to because I just love putting colored cubes in the right places. I spent so many hours playing Repo with friends, a Lethal Company-like supposedly named multiplayer friend slob game. I don't know if I like that name, where you repossess various valuable items from haunted locations and try not to get killed along the way. My friend Fee, check out their streams, link in description below, hosts semi-regular Saturday repo nights, and this is where I found some of the most hilarious moments of my gaming experience in 2025, and I enjoyed those nights, so check them out. I similarly also played a lot of Peak, which is quite similar in a lot of ways, and these are just games where playing with friends is a breeze, and they've really nailed the polishing of that Lethal Company style game formula to a bronze sheen when it comes to just climbing things and getting hungry and not being able to climb anymore, and I actually ate my friend. Ina Dream Barbecue is an audiovisual delight. Even if sometimes its random-ish speak irritated me slightly, I was drawn into this world, and maybe it increased in my estimation after I'd played it rather than during, where I was simply just trying to find out how do I make this funky being laser someone I hated to death. It's a strange game full of strange dialogue, and I'm not sure all of it sort of appealed to me, I will say that. Sorry to Ina enjoyers, but also a lot of it did. And I like its creativity, and I want to see more of this in indie games, so there's that. Many Nights a Whisper is a beautiful, plaintive, essay-like game about having one shot to do something incredible and change everyone's lives, but in a very distinct way that you get to choose exactly the nature of these wishes being granted. It reminds me of the experimental art games of the 2010s that I think have slowly faded over time, such as Dear Esther, Firewatch, and Journey. Games that didn't belabor you with their purpose or point too much, but just let the liminal space between the interactions give you the essence of their potent messaging. Another example I like is Starseed Pilgrim. Yeah, I love those types of games, and Many Nights a Whisper is that type of game. There were some beautiful story-based short games I played, like a game called And Roger, a quietly hard-hitting game about redacted. I don't want to spoil anything. That's how spoilerish this game is, and you should play it because it's short and powerful. Poco was a cute little adventure game about a clown thing gathering little buttons and stuff. Beautiful art there. Slots and Daggers just had a really nice feel to it, like the slots and the, whenever you pulled on a lever or something, just felt right. Split Fiction. Okay, Split Fiction. It was pretty cool. Although I felt like it was just like It Takes Two, except with some of the laughably bad story parts were just made a little bit better, but also less interesting. I mean, I will admit that it's funny to laugh at how awful It Takes Two's story can get, for example, whereas Split Fiction rounded off all those, ugly corners and presented us with much of the same challenges gameplay-wise as It Takes Two, except maybe in my mind are just a little less interesting. Nevertheless, it's a towering triumph for the devs, and I respect that co-op games, especially two-player cooperative campaign games, are being taken super seriously by a studio and being financially rewarded for this rare genre outing. So for that meta reason, I love these games, but just this particular one maybe didn't hit me as hard. Wanderstop might have disappointed me overall in the way it chose to portray its message of rest and recovery. Not that I think it's a bad message, but it's just the way that it delivered it might have felt a bit anti-gamey for me. But I do feel good for the developers that they got to output this message in this way. Plus, it has my favorite soundtrack of the year, C418, cooked with this one. And that's saying something because this is a beautiful year for soundtracks amongst contenders like Deltarune, Clair, Obscur, Hollow Knight, Silksong. I can't even remember the vast array of amazing soundtracks this year. I still think Wanderstop's soundtrack just has that beautiful place in my heart with its touch of delicate orchestration that has all the melodies in the right places, that sort of provides that ambient feel in C418's soundtrack for Minecraft, but upgraded with these textures and beautiful orchestral instruments that just make my heart soar. So I think Wanderstop is my soundtrack of the year, even though the year had an amazing game for soundtracks. This was an amazing year for game soundtracks, is what I'm trying to say. Strange Jigsaws had a really unique take on layering puzzle rules on top of each other. Nubby's Number Factory stole many of my hours with its purposely amateurish graphics and repetitive ball-based gameplay. Similarly, let's talk about balls. Ball Expert, need I say more? Citizen Sleeper 2 is just like the first in its entry, pure delight in storytelling in this cyber-sleuthing world where your energy is currency. It's kind of similar to Keep Driving in that you sort of dance with your resources as a story gets told to you. Give it a go if you feel that's in your ballpark. If there's an award for a game that stole my time the most, as I said earlier, it should be Megabonk. It's an incredibly designed Skinner box filled with other Skinner boxes that ultimately sucks you in and feels like you're playing nothing at all, for better or for worse. If there's a game for most innovative game, and it just missed out in my top 10, it would go to Blueprints. Talk about swinging for the fences, combining a room drafting game with meta puzzle elements and setting it within this mist-like perspective. Perhaps the thing that dragged me down in this experience is the fact that every action takes sort of such a long time to complete, and it is sort of due to this mist-like perspective that you're kind of interacting with all these different things, and it's a bit sluggish at times. I think for what it is, it's an incredibly detailed and gorgeous to look at game with extremely innovative, puzzle mechanics that I don't want to spoil. I think everyone who's interested in that kind of thing should at least give it a go. At least give it a go if they are interested in the state of innovative puzzle games or just innovative games in general. But here we go with the top 10, sitting at number 10. I never really intended to get sucked back into the vortex that is Telltale Games again, especially in our year 2025, but with this invincible-looking superhero episodic adventure game outing, Telltale's offspring, that is, employees that used to work for Telltale but created their independent studio, along with the remnants of employees from Ubisoft and Night School Studio, the creators of Oxenfree, they came together to create the wonderful Dispatch. I understand that superhero fatigue is a thing for people. I personally have never really got there. I mean, just say it this way, I just enjoy good movies and TV and games regardless of what flavor they are. I never was fully enamored with the idea of a cinematic universe coming together, but in my opinion, to me, it becomes clear that the storytellers at Ad Hoc Studios simply know what conflicts are interesting in this superhero series. Down on their luck protagonists, supporting characters with flaws and mixtures of good and bad traits, interesting setups for their conflicts, playing against each other. This game has the whole thing. It's that good old Telltale formula too, where you have the quick time event choices and they're interspersed here with, well, actual gameplay. Wait, hold on. A Telltale game that has actual gameplay where the decisions affect how the endings turn out? Well, yeah, it turns out endings in Dispatch are largely dependent on different playstyles, not just in the choices that the player makes text-wise, but also in the puzzles, and the dispatching gameplay itself in this game is far more interesting than I ever thought it would be. It sits at the center of what I would have thought was a narrative fiction game, taking up more space than I thought, leading me to believe that this is actually a gameplay-based game, or at least it has similar proportions of gameplay and story. I really hope this game has a season 2. I think it was filled with fantastic mysteries and setups that make this seem like it didn't have the tortured development story that it did. In short, I think it's an utter triumph of the interactive story medium, and I think it deserves all the hype it gets. Number 9. An incredibly innovative and atmospheric horror game came in the form of 2D pixels from an engine I am very familiar with, that is RPG Maker. It is Look Outside, and I must have a great big asterisk on top of this game because I have not completed this game upon writing this, sadly. I've streamed 5 hours of this on Twitch, and yet it has already sunk its hooks into me. Maybe it might improve in rank by the time I finish it, but I have to finish this video sometime, right? Look Outside is a fairly non-linear game where various strands of quests display themselves to you over time. It seems the creator Francis Colombe, the solo dev of this operation, has tirelessly iterated upon these dungeon designs to provide creepy and tension-filled obstacles around every corner and in every nook and cranny. Combine this with a verve and a knack for cuteness in certain characters, and we have a beautiful tone here where various events can occur based on the timing of what your actions are. It was pretty well done overall, and I think it's just well crafted. And that's particularly why I'm so enamored with Look Outside's gameplay mechanics. It uses the dimension of time in such a profound way that it makes the game feel alive and fresh. There's various mechanics that pop up that make you wonder what they do, but the game won't immediately tell you why they're there, so you just have to explore and find out through trial and error. I'm looking forward to not looking outside and exploring many possibilities while still acknowledging that the game may harbor secrets for many that I may never get to experience. Into the dark and beyond. Number 8. I'm going to do a little cheat here and include 4 DLCs in one. It's the Rise of the Golden Idol DLCs, The Sins of New Wells, The Lemurian Phoenix, The Age of Restraint, and The Curse of the Last Reaper. For those who like mystery games and have not played the Golden Idol series, seriously, play them now. I think they might be my favorite mystery-based games of all time, or at least my favorite series of mystery-based games. Okay, maybe Outer Wilds takes the cake, but that's one of my 3 favorite games of all time, and the Golden Idol series comes pretty close to the pure mystery solving goodness. Makes you feel like you're an actual investigator, truly investigating the truths to these crimes that you're witnessing the after effects of. These 4 sequel DLCs are incredible in quality, and while they may have their ups and downs, I just find it amazing that these 2 developers, who are brothers by the way, have found a way to distill Return of the Obra Dinn's open mystery style into a much more streamlined, in my opinion, quicker and more efficient, also my opinion, series of mysteries that pushes forward the medium of investigation-based games. Lots. And I hope other games will find inspiration from this for years to come. It truly makes you feel like you're uncovering the lost secrets of civilizations and people groups and technologies. And the mysteries are for the most part very satisfying, the solutions mind-blowing. Some solutions made me emotional even. The characters are fun, and it follows an almost Fargo-inspired formula of characters that seek greed for objects and desire for power, and these things turn out almost in a fashion that nobody expects, usually with some form of violence or chaos. And to find out the true meaning of the results of each chaos and the ways that the characters intertwine is just a thing that I feel that only the Golden Idol series can provide. I really hope that there's a third game with an equal amount of DLCs, because I've just been loving these ones. Number 7. I cried the most during this game out of any game I've played. Trigger warning, this game is about child abuse. It's about families, pain, trauma, loss, and also it's about feelings during those things. The name of the game is Wednesdays. It's incredibly tender, and I know that sometimes I expect when going into stories in games like this that they can sometimes get preachy or hokey, but I feel it never crossed the line here. Truly heart-wrenching, truly life-affirming. It's a game that had me in tears and in shock, and then feeling an utter sense of purpose, pain, and warmth afterwards. The dialogue is just so realistic, the characters interact in extremely realistic ways, and the visual metaphors that are used to explain sort of the pain that is within each character are really effective. There's a particular decision they make where no dialogue is actually chosen by you. You choose the dialogue options of the characters around you, and there's a specific narrative choice for that. And I think that's really it's just so much thought put into all the little details of the storytelling and narrative in this game that I wasn't expecting. Anyone who wants to feel something but also wants to understand the pain of a life in a game, trust me, this game is incredibly well written about a very important topic and deserves more praise in my opinion. Number 6. So here's a game that topped many people's lists, and some people might even get understandably angry at me for putting this at number 6, but it's my list, okay? It's my list. I loved this game. I loved every game in this top 10, and I thought it was fun to play, and the story only got better as it went along. My number 6 ranked game of 2025 is indie game Clair. Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Just an utterly wonderful world filled with encounters that are enriching and a story I might not have latched onto immediately, but later on I felt more and more of its power. I grew to love the characters, the gameplay is super fun, and I especially enjoyed getting those parries correct in timing, and I even enjoyed trying to guess what would happen next. I streamed this on Twitch and I had extremely fun memories with my friends about this one. I feel like you might have already heard of it, and you kind of know about it, and you might have just heard so much about Clair Obscur, but I suppose if I were to have any unique things to say about it, is I think it has a certain rejuvenation quality of a lot of the old feelings I had when I used to play Final Fantasy IX in my preteen years. The overworlds, the creatures, the sort of highfalutin drama and that beautiful score with its soaring choruses and strings, what it has to say about creativity and isolation and family and beauty and loving creation. It's simply lovely work all round, gameplay-wise, story-wise, for an indie studio that I feel has had an immense victory in recent years. I'm very happy for them. I wish more games like this are made in future, even though it's kind of a hard ask. It's like saying, oh, make more Baldur's Gate 3s. It's like, how can you do that? It's just such a maximalist game. I do like that it won a lot of game awards. I might be controversially saying that, but I just think that it was very maximalist for an indie game, and I think it did incredibly. Yeah. Number 5. Now, this is a disclaimer, obviously, because I know that a lot of people's favorite game was at number 6, and this is number 5, and of course people think numbers 5 to 1. Benny really thinks this game and the ones above it are better than Clair Obscur? And of course I don't feel that way necessarily. I don't even think I believe in a objectively better, quote-unquote better game for you and for me. This is just numbering off games in a way that makes the most sense to how I personally enjoyed them. And as such, here's quite an unknown game I'm going to present to you called Type Help. Type Help is my number 5 game, and it's a free game on itch.io made by William Rouse. It is completely text, it has no music, It's also very mysterious and full of ambience and intrigue, and filled with moments that made me gasp out loud. It's a mystery game where you uncover the story behind the terminal of an old computer that once belonged to a mysterious outside agent. The galley house is a case that was said to be unsolvable, but what happened? Yeah, it's kind of hard to describe the true nature of the mysteries that lie within without spoiling everything, but hopefully the fact that this is an 100% text-based game with no music, and I managed to place it a step above Clair Obscur, should give you at least some indication that there's a bit of sauce to this game. There's a bit more to this game than meets the eye initially. It's an astounding game in my opinion that is getting a remake by the same people who remade The Roottrees Are Dead. I hope that the remake will keep the mysterious spirit of the original, which brings to mind such influences as Obra Dinn, and even the bratty, self-referential meta-narrative of one of my favorite games and possibly my favorite visual novel, who knows, Umineko When They Cry. I love that game. Maybe not as twisted as that immense 1 million plus word long narrative, but there were some things that reminded me of that game's mind screwery that sort of exist here as well. Please try this out if you have the patience for a text-based game where you can uncover things that might just blow your mind. Or you can wait for the remake, assuming that it's going to be as good as the Roottrees Are Dead remake. Speaking of, number 4. In a similar vein, the Roottrees Are Dead remake is yet another game displaying my pure and utter bias for mystery puzzle games like Obra Dinn, Type Help, and Golden Idol, but I swear these games are so good. I've always wanted to have games like this, so to feel like I've been getting these games all in like a couple years, I'm like, this is a joyful place. Like I'm getting literal, true mystery games where you feel like you're actually uncovering something using your brain. Uncover a massive family tree with its histories intertwining, figure out all the backstories and use your knowledge of said backstories to openly solve the mystery of what happened to this family, where there's debates and egos that rival that of a show like Succession, another show I liked. Truly, this family is filled with pretty awful people who do pretty awful things for profit and or greed, and yet their dramas stick to me like glue. I enjoyed this so much because of its open nature of like its search engine on this old dusty CRT monitor, and its articles that you search through, and its little old web aesthetic, and the way the entire plot comes together. It's fantastic. Be aware that this game is split into 2 mysteries. The first mystery is easier. I liked it more. It provided a great balance that I'd give 10 out of 10 to. The Root Tree Mania mystery, the second one, is one that was added as part of the remake, and the second mystery is more like an 8 out of 10 for me because I felt like it was oftentimes too convoluted and difficult for its own good and required a lot of assumptions about the placement in articles and such. However, all in all, the game is immensely fun and its highs vastly outweigh some of those lows that it has, and it has a great hint system for a mystery game. It's intriguing and will provide a scratch for that itch for many of us fellow mystery puzzle solvers. Number 3. What does family mean? What does friendship mean? What is nostalgia? What parts of you are you willing to sacrifice to save the world? And what ghosts of the past will be uncovered that let you see the layers lying underneath? Giving depth and breadth to a very musical and comedically goofy style, Toby Fox wowed the world with the innovative Undertale in 2015, and now it's taken a while, but Toby Fox has started releasing different chapters 3 and 4 of its related game Deltarune, which hit the Steam stores this year. I absolutely adored it. I'm bunching Deltarune chapter 3 and 4 together. I adored its crazy inability to ever sit still on a single idea. I adored its ability to ruminate on repeated jokes and give new life to them each time, either comedic or serious or both, because this game, in Toby Fox's credit, is so skilled at bringing absurd comedy along with joyful characterization and the harsh, hollow horror of existential dread all in quick succession. I do think that Toby Fox might be one of the best implementers of comedy in games. I just think that the way that he approaches comedy and timing is just innovative, and that people should learn from Toby Fox's example when they're making comedy games, and I think they have. And Deltarune matures in that way. It just brings new gameplay elements, and also it just creates this wild mixture of emotions, culminating in a fantastic delivery of, I think, episode 4 in particular, although I think episode 3 is a necessary build-up. It delivers on many of the underlying conflicts that were teased throughout episodes 1 to 3, and episode 4 just seems like a finally moment where many of the mysteries are in fact explored upon and revealed to hide darker truths underneath, and it truly gives me a feeling of a dark mystery that keeps endlessly looping and unspooling into the abyssal dark. I think of shows like Dark, actually there's a show called Dark that really, and there's a little show like Severance and I don't know, Twin Peaks, just these stories that have these mysteries in them, and I feel like Deltarune is possibly the game that I've played that does this the most. I think some people did not necessarily gel with the idea that it was episodic, and they might be sad that they have to wait some time before the next one comes out. I'm the type of guy who has learned to enjoy being on the cusp of the episodic release thing, and I don't necessarily mind that I have to wait for an episode 5. I think that this type of story, as it's being released in its mystery format, benefits from a gradual release schedule to increase the mystery as it goes. I don't need to know the end yet. I can enjoy being in the water cooler conversation. I particularly enjoyed Susie in these episodes as well. I think her arc is the heart of this game for me, and I'll protect Susie with my life. I think Susie is just fantastic. Please let her be alright by the end of this. I thank you. Not to mention just how fun the gameplay is, and how funky the music is, and how the comedic timing gels with the jokes in just that subversive way, providing laugh-out-loud repeated bits, as well as deep character realizations told through parallels. For Undertale and Deltarune, both are stories of parallels between worlds, between characters, and between the struggles that are supposed to unite us, even if and when we feel so very, very alone. I hope the very best for our lovable trio as they try to solve the mysteries of the dark without losing themselves in the process. Number 2. So this was a surprise. I played this in December. I did not think it was going to score maybe even the top 10, and then I played like an hour of it. I'm like, okay, maybe it'll be top 10. I played like a few hours, and then something big happened. I'm like, oh, this is a good game. And then I played about 10 hours of it, and then it just climbed up and up, and we see it at number 2. I bought it a while ago, and the final part of the game was released just this December, so I thought I'd give it a go because I like rhythm games. But Rhythm Doctor is not just a rhythm game. Well, sure it is. You press a button every 7th beat sometimes, and then they overlap sometimes, and you get trippy boss battles. But then they start twisting it up. You have to do a swing beat, and then you have to do every 5 beats, and then you overlap them, and then they intersect these mechanics in interesting ways per battle. There was a certain point, though. There's a certain point, and I will say it is the second boss battle. Everybody play at least up until the second boss battle that the game did something I never thought a game could do. It blew my mind. I don't want to spoil it, but this game utilizes particular things about user interface and space in a game in a way that utterly transformed the way I think about gaming. And then it just continued to develop on this idea again and again, and then by the 3rd chapter of 6, I was starting to tear up, even just within the compositions, which were telling these intricate stories of the characters' lives within, like a really, really good musical that you could play with your fingers. The rhythm gameplay is amazing, and as a piano player of 20 plus years, I did find most of it comfortable. I'd usually finish each level within 1 to 2 tries, but there are optional challenges and S-grade challenges that are truly difficult. As of this moment, I only have like 2 or 3 S grades out of the many levels that there are, and I would have to try many times to ace those. So there's still some challenge for those who are good at rhythm games, but I feel it's also accessible to those who do not, because you simply use one finger, there's only one note, and it's all about rhythm. But it utilizes rhythm in such unique ways. I enjoyed it all. But all in all, by the end, I was actually tearing up and caring for these characters in a rhythm game. But I've never teared up during a rhythm game. Several times this game proved to me that it broke the bounds of what a game could do. Several times it made me close to tears. Several times it had me feeling about a story that I feel about games a lot longer than this, with characters that I've spent a lot longer with. The writing was surprisingly very effective, and the characters didn't always react in the way I expected, but they reacted in ways that were very realistic to their characters. Plus, even with the gameplay being extremely fun, it's also telling potent stories about the characters while you're playing. And the nature of the gameplay is helping shape the stories, the rhythms that appear from the hearts of these characters reflecting their internal journeys, and the handcrafted songs melding with the designs of the gameplay to provide just one holistic experience of an emotional journey simply through rhythm-based gameplay. So I didn't expect that this rhythm game with pixelated graphics would end up at number 2 on my list of games for 2025, but here we are. I thoroughly recommend you to check this game out if you can, even if you're not a major fan of rhythm games, because this one is a lot more than that. So yeah, check Rhythm Doctor out. It's incredible. And my number 1 game of 2025 is number 1. So many of you who have been following me for a while know that I have been trying to make games for ages and ages. My username is literally Benny Makes Games, and I've been trying to do that for a while. I joined the RPG Maker community, I think around like 2010 or something, and I've been playing games and reviewing games and making games for a long time. Sure, I make little jam games with friends nowadays, sometimes, but I've always had this one project that's been evading me for over a decade now, and its name is Paper Thin. A story about a guy named Marcus simply living his life in a world of paper and trying to navigate a romantic attraction to a girl named Alicia whilst juggling grades, employments, fears, doubts, scripted cutscenes, and just all the emotions inside of you being represented in external stats. It was, it's sort of designed as a choices matter style game in a life simulation format. Now, this game is still a dream of mine that I'd love to achieve, but this year, and this happened a few times, but particularly this year, I made a game that, while aesthetically quite different to my idea, it is the game that did many things that I wish games had done before, especially in this life and social simulation genre. Especially things that I wanted my game to do. But apparently this game did it first, and now I'm angry because, well, it's my number 1 game of 2025, and partially because it did it so effortlessly and improved upon my dream and vision in several spots. And the name of that game is... So the name of the game is Consume Me, and it is a semi-autobiographical game ostensibly about dieting, disordered eating, and fat phobia, but that's just sort of an initial introduction. It touches on so much more of that I can't even begin to talk about here, because I'd rather you just experience the game for yourself. But then again, why am I making this list? I should probably talk about the game a little. It's possible that it's because of these themes. Consume Me may be a little bit of a stressful play for some of you, but I still encourage you to check it out if you can. Consume Me is this bouncy, gorgeous looking game about balancing your life, your obligations, your mother, your body, what goals you aspire towards, and how you use your time. And I felt that the way that the game sort of examined the mind and the life of a young girl was very touching. It uses the time mechanic in a way that I wanted to use it for my game, a static time system that's similar to games like Jones in the Fast Lane, Stick RPG, and other racing sims. Racing simulation games like the Princess Maker series help to popularize this style of gameplay where you use time as a resource as well as other resources of your body to help simulate the importance of everyday actions in your slice of life, sort of everyday life, and when to choose them in a way that benefits the optimal life of your choosing. It creates an array of gameplay mechanics that can help you to literally shape your life in the way you choose. That is a style of game that I've always dreamed about innovating on, and I think Consume Me does it in an incredible way. And yet this game also has a lot to say about how we organize our bodies, our brains, and our psyches to fit society, told through the lens of its co-director, Jenny Zhao Xia, who co-directed it with long-time co-collaborator AP Thompson, that is very acutely about a fictionalized version of Jenny's own life experience, and as such it works as a semi-autobiography using its mechanics to help tell the story of her life, so to speak. This blissful union of gameplay mechanics and storytelling really gets to the heart of the thing I probably love most about games, its ability to make you feel things through gameplay mechanics. As you explore what it means to be young and to have goals for yourself, some of which may be unrealistic, which the game explores, you get to experience a life lived with its ups and downs, with its highs and its lows, and a journey that might not necessarily exactly map onto the perfect narrative one might have in one's head about how one's life might and should go. And yet I feel like the game's twists and turns end up transcending into some sort of truth that's unexpected. I can't fully describe it without spoiling the full plot details, but there's several sequences that utilize existing gameplay mechanics and then upheave them to provide either emotional catharsis or heartbreak in turn. That I believe that the gameplay twists and turns provide necessary conflicts to the journey that the characters go on without sometimes even needing to say a single word. It's just mind-blowing and I love it so much. As such, Consume Me is my favorite game of 2025 so far. I mean, I might play more games released in 2025 in future years, who knows? When I defeat Silksong, it might be my number one, it might appear soon, it might not even make the list, I don't know. But as for now, this game, Consume Me, hit me the most in its staying power and in its ability to tell something achingly human through the medium of video games. I thoroughly respect all the games I've played this year, and I thank you for taking this journey with me. So, what were your favorite games of 2025? I'm sure you played more than I did. I don't know. I guess you can type them in the comments below. I don't really make videos, so I don't know how to cap this all off. Like and subscribe, I guess. Yeah, do that. Thanks for watching.